Welcome back into In Focus Kentucky, where each week we talk about one different issue impacting our state. And this week we're talking with Sherry Bryant Hamilton out of the city of Louisville. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to us about your district here, or what district do you represent in the city of Louisville?
I represent District 5. I'm in the northwest corner of the city, surrounded by the beautiful Ohio River, about 28,000 residents. And Louisville was founded in my district, in the Portland neighborhood. So it's a very historic neighborhood, and I'm proud to represent it.
And talk about your background. When did you get your start on the council here in Louisville?
Well, I started in politics, I guess you would say, when I was 16 years old. But I ran for office in '84 for first district magistrate, and that didn't happen. It got thrown out before the primary. So I said I'll run again later, and later wound up being 2000. And that was with the Board of Aldermen. My former alderman went on to be a state representative, and he asked me if I would run for his seat. And I said I would, after much cajoling. And so February 2000, I became a 12th Ward alderman, and then ran for Metro Council in 2002 and came on in January of 2003. So I've been in office for now 18 years.
And what's been keeping you wanting to continue with your public service after all these years?
And that's the key words, public service. I mean, that's why I'm in this. I think it's something that was in my genes in terms of my family, my grandfather, my mother, my aunts and uncles. Just the family believed in to whom much is given, much is required. So I was kind of raised that way, and circumstances of being involved in the civil rights movement as a teenager, involved in government and working on women's, children's issues, things like that. This was where policy was being made, and I wanted to be a part of that.
And talk about that with your family background and the civil rights movement. How do you and how does your family play into that?
Well, my grandfather was a delegate to two Democratic conventions back in the 40s, and out of Michigan, and he led blacks from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party to support Roosevelt and Truman back in the day. So he was involved in politics in Michigan, and my mother picked up on that. She went to Nannie Helen Burroughs School in Washington, D.C. as a teenager and learned public service, commitment, and went to Fisk University, and she was trained to be a civic-minded individual, and I think she inbred that to us, and so just followed in my mother's footsteps, and we got involved in the civil rights movement here in Louisville in the 60s, especially on the open housing front. So I'm working in the same chambers now that I got thrown out of as a teenager. So I've come full circle, you might say.
And talk about, we're doing our interview here in your office, and obviously you've got a lot of memories from throughout the years from your family and then yourself personally. So kind of talk to us about some of the different things that you see here in your office.
Well, one of the things that my eye is drawn to is Martin Luther King's final book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos, Our Community. And it's autographed to my family, to the Bryant family. And, these are things you don't realize, or you don't see them until later on, years later. I'm going through my mother's things, our family's things, after my parents died, and it's kind of like, oh, gee, I didn't know that, and then going through their things, finding more. I learn more about them, I learn more about myself, and on whose shoulders I stand, because there's a lot of people in this community, especially women. Lois Morris, who was a 12th Ward alderman, my godmother ran for alderman, Maud Bimbo. So I was surrounded by people in the community that were movers and shakers, who were committed to making things better for blacks, for young people, for women in this community. And so it was all around me. And I just followed in their footsteps, I guess.
And obviously with the month of February celebrating Black History Month, so when you hear celebrate Black History Month, what does that mean to you?
Well, Black history is American history. It's Louisville history. And just in November, we dedicated a Kentucky historical marker for the Buchanan v. Worley case, which was passed by this Board of Aldermen in 1913, but the Supreme Court ruled against residential segregation in 1917. Okay, so we're going to do this marker with the Portland Museum and Red Cross Hospital at the same time, because that was where blacks could, only place they could be treated back in the early 1900s and up until the 1950s, 60s. So I started reading more, and it was kind of like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another book, led to another source. And talking about Louisville's history, it was like there's so much I didn't know. But one thing Lois Morris would always say is you have to know the history. And now I know why she harped on that, because a lot of people would go downtown now and just think, oh, we've always been able to do this. We've always been able to eat here. We've always been able to shop here or go to the movies. But it was not so. People had to live and die and fight for the rights that we enjoy today. So I think it's important during Black History Month that not just young kids or older people, but white people as well understand the history, because we're all joined together in this history. However messy and painful it may be, it strengthens all of us to know our history.
Now, when people look back on your career and things that you've helped to bring to the community and to the city of Louisville, what would you hope that they take back about your time and your service here to the city?
That I was committed, that I stayed the course, that I spoke up, spoke out, stood up, and tried to fight for what was right. Not everything in government you learn happens right away, so you have to be persistent and consistent. And I've been able to serve in leadership capacities. A lot of times I like to be behind the scenes, working to get things done. I don't have to have the spotlight on me, but if I have to, I will. But this is a position that I'm in now, that I'm able to be a liaison between the Democratic caucus, 17 members, and the mayor's office, trying to get our agenda set for the year, trying to have some influence with the state legislature on issues that are more important to an urban community. So I think that just being in the right place at the right time has kind of been something that has happened to me. But I take this very seriously, and that I gave it my all.
Well, Councilmember Hamilton, we really appreciate you making time to talk with us and talking about your history and the importance of Black History Month here on In Focus Kentucky.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to Louisville Metro Councilwoman Cherry Bryan Hamilton for sharing her story in the fight for civil rights. Coming up next, we'll talk to PG Peoples, President and CEO of the Lexington Urban League, a group that has been empowering African Americans around the state since 1968. Stay tuned. You're watching In Focus Kentucky.